All right. Good afternoon. It is Randy Byrd, and I'm super excited for my guest today. I have the one and only Jimmy Rex on Tuesday Titans Live. So if you're seeing this, we're bringing it to you live here with Jimmy Rex. Actually, it might be pre-recorded, but we're bringing it to you live as we speak right now. But Jimmy, welcome to the show. I appreciate you.
Hey, appreciate it, Randy. It's good to be on.
Dude, I've got to start with saying that before I edify you and give you a little background, give the people a little background about you, you are the one that inspired me to get into the podcast circle. I called you for your advice and your help, and you talked to me for quite some time about just giving me direction. You do have one of the top podcasts in the nation, over 230 episodes on the Jimmy Rex Show, and top 10 business podcasts on the planet. So that's pretty exciting. But I'm this big, but with hopes of being like you someday when I grow up. But Jimmy, thank you for being here on the show today. If you don't mind, I'd like to brag on you just a little bit, let people know kind of a little bit about you. I took some
we live in a world where there's a lot of things that can get your attention. So I guess validation is good these days, right?
It is, and there's so many things. I mean, from you're an adventurer to say the least, and that's the first thing that popped up when I started doing a little due diligence. But really, Jimmy Rex, the social realtor, that says a lot to me about who you are and what you are. You've got podcasts, you've got massive following. Matter of fact, I've interviewed a lot of top agents, Brent Gove, Shanka Koska, you name it. And you're the guy that everybody seems to know, and you have a massive following. But it's hard to start with you. So I'm going to start with some basics in the real estate piece and then move to more of what I think is the heartfelt stuff, the stuff that wires you and makes you what you are. But over 2,300 homes sold. You're in Utah. I know one of the top agents in Utah, Keller Williams franchise, one of the top guys in that franchise. I know you were just interviewed by Gary Keller, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep.
Talking to the top 100 or 200 agents around the nation. Real estate mentor, coach. I don't know what you know in terms of the real estate world, but you are the guy when it comes to real estate, in my opinion. I've seen some of your entry videos with the day in life in Jimmy Rex's kind of in your head. Really fun to watch what you're doing. The adventure side is mind-blowing, the places that you've visited. We're going to talk a little bit about that today as well. And again, I just, when I look at a guy like you, it literally aligns with what I want and what I want to do in this world, which is have an impact, have fun doing it. And you seem to have really nailed that. So, and I don't want to leave this out. One of the things that struck to me is you go undercover to rescue kids that are being sex trafficked or in that dangerous arena. And you've done 11 ops undercover and rescued over 100 kids.
Correct.
And, please make sure we circle back to that today to talk about that a little bit. But, with that, I can go on for literally 60 minutes about your background, about your accomplishments, and about who Jimmy Rex is. But with that, I'd like to just welcome you to the show and jump right in and just let people know who you are and what you're doing and celebrate you. This is about you. I know you're a very modest and humble guy, but the bottom line is there's a lot of people that are going to be watching this. At least tens of people are going to watch my show. And I want them to know the Jimmy Rex that I know.
No, I appreciate that, Randy. You're more generous than you probably should be, but I have a lot of fun. We definitely, I get bored easily, so I try to keep my life very entertaining and do a pretty good job of that. So thank you.
You absolutely do. And you got a brand new book that just launched, I think, a week or two ago. You end up where you're heading. So let's start there. Let's talk about your new book. Pitch it, please. Pitch it to people where they can find it. But let's get a summary of the book and what it meant to you to write.
Yeah, so it's called You End Up Where You're Heading, The Hidden Dangers of Living a Safe Life. And what I did in the book is I followed the hero's journey. If you're familiar with Joseph Campbell at all, it's kind of funny. Tim Ferriss just put a podcast out yesterday about Joseph Campbell and this hero's journey that we're all on. And essentially, there's a pattern and what I teach people and what I try to show people in the book is extraordinary people, heroes are only doing the same things everybody else. They just do a couple little things. They're willing to cross the bridge, not knowing what's going to be over there, this quote unquote unsafe life that might be there. They're willing to go into the cave to get the reward, even though you have to rip yourself open to do it. And so I took some examples of some people in my life, used a lot of examples in my own life, and I kind of take people through this hero's journey and teach everybody how they can become the hero of their own story. And that's really what the book is all about.
Wow, that's amazing. So the hero's journey, people that are obviously in the self-awareness or personal growth mindset, right? I always look at myself as a white belt, right? No matter what accomplishments and accolades and things and trophies you might get, I still look at myself as a white belt. And I know you do too when you look at that. And we've talked about you're just always learning and always open to that learning piece. But take people through the hero's journey. What does that look like for somebody maybe taking a look at your book, and then what's it going to help them do as far as achieving a why or a passion, or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of have these paths in life, right? Like, so the average person, I think most people settle into this comfortable life. Anytime I find myself in comfort, I'll try to do something to break that up because I know I'm not growing in comfort. And it was funny, 2019 was probably the best year of my life as far as just fun goes. I traveled to over 27 countries. I took 135 days of vacation. I sold the most expensive home in the history of Utah. You know, my team did over 325 houses. It was just a crazy year. And it was funny because I celebrated so much last year. And I really, coming to the end of the year, I said to my life coach, I said, hey, I'm about to have a brutal 2020. And she says, well, why is that? I said, because I'm ready to grow again. And I knew it was going to be hard. I knew I was going to have these obstacles that present themselves. And so that's kind of how it goes. And I think, unfortunately, at the end of people's lives, most people on their deathbeds, they don't regret the things they did. They regret the things they never tried, the things they didn't do, the dreams that died within them. And so what I try to do is, whether you're just starting out, you're in college or high school, maybe you're not sure what you want to do with your life, or maybe you're stuck wherever you've been, or you're in this job you don't love. You got a boss who yells at you through email all day. You've got the situation where you just kind of feel stuck. The book's designed to kind of smack you aside the face and go, hey, there's another way to do this. And quit being comfortable, quit settling for this status quo that's in your life. And, being a hero doesn't mean that you save the world and all these different things. Being a hero just simply means that you become the best version of yourself. You're curious enough about life to go out there and break yourself open. And then you really go after it and try to, again, improve yourself every single day. When you're willing to take risks that seem dangerous, it might not always work out your way. You might, know it might not even be a good opportunity at the moment, but you do things because the reward of doing it is going to be so great. And even when you screw things up, like one thing I learned in my life at a very young age is, even if I tried something amazing, even if it didn't work, I grew, and I was so grateful that I did it. And so for me, the only fear I have is of living a mediocre life. I have this fear of not doing enough with my life. And so we only get one of these things. And a lot of people are numbing themselves with, 12 hours of football on the weekend, or Netflix, or politics all night, or whatever it might be. It's like, no, you control your destiny, but you have to make that choice. You have to put yourself out there to do that.
Wow. So you've clearly been on a personal growth journey for a while. Do you see a time in your life where you had a really major transition, going from maybe the unknown to knowing, or, we call it consciousness, or whatever you want to do it if you want to get foo-foo? It's funny. I never meditated in my life, never really was that introspective person until I met a female that taught me that, right? That really opened my mind to possibilities. And Rhonda Collier, I always give her credit where credit's due. And for me, I remember that time in my life as being a transitional phase. Do you remember that for yourself? Maybe where you went, whether it was in teenage years or young adult years, to when you transitioned to that? You told me a statement that, how much money have you spent on coaching in your life? And it blew me away.
Yeah, I mean, it's over $500,000 for sure.
$500,000 in coaching and personal growth, right?
Yeah.
That's most people, that's a lifetime of income sometimes.
Yeah, I don't have any one moment. I've been a student my whole life. I'm very curious. I always am trying to learn from people smarter than me. And so I've seeked out the best people in literally every category. Like the other day, I'll give you an example. I was listening to Lewis Howes' podcast, one of the top podcasts in the world. And he had this expert on relationships on, and he was talking about something that caught my attention. And he was supposedly, this guy is the best. I look him up. He's got a couple million followers. This dude is the guy. I reached out to him personally this last week, and I set up a one-on-one coaching session. I paid for it, and I'm doing it on Monday. Yeah, because why would I want to, I want to learn from the best. So like anything I can do, and I've done that my whole life. I've always tried to seek out the best people, and they're a lot more accessible when you come with this mindset of like, please teach me. Like I am here humbly saying like, I don't know how to do what you do. Please show me the best way to do that. And so I've done that my whole life. So I haven't had this one awakening moment per se, but I think, a couple of years ago, I definitely, I stepped outside of my entire life. I had this belief about why we're here, what we're doing, where we're going. It came from my religious background. And when I finally stepped outside of that a little bit and went, maybe I need to be open to the idea that there's more out there. And just that very curiosity, that very openness to go, okay, I don't know what I don't know. I'm going to just kind of open up and kind of let the universe show me whatever I need to learn. I think that really made a difference. But I think I've always tried to be curious and tried to be a student of very successful people.
Wow, that's amazing. So we're going to have a lot of realtors potentially watching this or people in the industry. What advice would you give them in that category of maybe, being open-minded? It's funny, you're one of the top agents in the whole nation, easily. And I'm sure you deal with agents that just think they know everything. They think they've got it figured out. Sometimes it's a facade just to protect them from not knowing what they're doing, is my experience sometimes. But what advice would you give to an agent, maybe either starting or reemerging in their career?
Yeah, I mean, the best advice I can give is, number one is it takes time to really get ahead in this. I remember my first several years in real estate, even if I was making a lot of sales, in my second year in real estate, I sold almost 100 homes with one assistant, but I was still behind. I kept losing money. I mean, the markets were crashing, every investment was going south. And so what I tell people is like, you got to be patient. Like people just want it too fast right now. You've got to be patient. Give yourself time. If you do anything consistently well for long enough, you're going to be great at it. And with real estate, it's really a simple job. It's just not easy. I tell everybody, like, spend at least an hour a day practicing getting better at this. I did this. I really did. I would role play and I would read my scripts. I laminated my scripts and I had them in my shower. I knew exactly what to say. And then I learned exactly how to say them. So I was 24, 25 years old going against veterans in this business, been there for 30 years, and they had no idea how I could kick their ass every time. I took those listings every time because I knew exactly what to say and how to say it. I had every objection. I knew what they wanted to hear. I learned the different behavioral styles. I learned how to work with the different types. And so all I can say is like, be patient, number one. But number two is like, figure out what you're truly committed to doing. Like, I never wanted to be a mediocre agent. I only wanted to be the best. Like, why would I ever do something if I didn't want to be the best at it? So for me, my advice to you is figure out what that looks like for you. Like, how committed are you to being the best? And you can't expect $1 million income on a $12 an hour, habits.
Mentality.
Yeah, you can't. So really you got to put that in. I mean, I fell asleep in my suit. I can't even count how many times because I was so exhausted from a full day, and I'd wake up and do it again the next day, And so anyway, just work harder than you ever thought you had to, but be patient. I think that's one of the best pieces of advice I've ever heard. And then the third thing I would say is to new agents is learn how to use social media. Man, it is a game changer. Like, it just changed everything for me. I am able to travel the world, do all these things that I do because I'm able to stay in touch with all my clients and friends through social media. So I think it's very important that you pick up that piece of your business, whether you're older, newer, whatever it might be.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of older agents, mature agents resist that piece of it. And they believe, they can make business happen in the old way of doing it, but the world has changed,
Yeah.
And, while we're talking about the world has changed, 2020 is just an absolute slap in the face for a lot of agents and a lot of people, a lot of busy agents right now because of the low inventory. And we're seeing everybody having sometimes record years right now. But what do you see coming in the future? That's a big maybe question, but where do you see the future of real estate going as one of the top agents in the nation?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing is I've been getting, I started doing Facebook Lives in 2013, telling people they had to invest now. And people kept telling me the market was going to crash. I mean, it's gone up 40% since then. Even since last year, I was still, pushing, saying, hey, you should invest in real estate. And people were just like, you're giving bad advice. Well, we've gone up 8% since I said that. And so at the end of the day, none of us have a crystal ball. We just don't. The bottom line is if you want to own real estate, you just need to get your money in the game. So there's never a bad time to buy real estate. I don't care if the market goes up, down, or sideways. I'm buying cash flow properties. I'm, taking advantage of these rates that we're in. I don't know where real estate goes. Nobody knows. At the end of the day, I know that my personal life is all I have to take care of. Get your own house in order is what I can tell agents. Like, it doesn't matter if the market collapses. If you're one of the 10% in the top 10% of your market, you're going to crush it. But if you're not worried about your own house, then yeah, the economy collapses. Guess what? You're going to be in deep shit. But if you just take care of yourself and you just make sure that you are dialed in yourself, then it doesn't matter what's going on around you. There's going to be so much opportunity. You know, the wealthiest people, what we are experiencing, what we know, whether the market itself goes up or down, whatever else, there is a wealth distribution going on from the bottom to the top right now. And unfortunately, it's going to cut out the middle class for good, probably going forward. And so what you need to figure out is like, how do I get my unfair share? How do I make sure I'm part of the 1% or I'm part of the 10% that's going to rise to the top through all this economic shifting?
Dude, I love that. How do I get my unfair share? Love that. That could be the title of this whole event here. So, you know, let's switch gears a little bit. I want to get to know you and have the people get to know you. But what are you reading right now? What comes to mind when, you know, when you're feeding your brain? What are you reading right now? And I know it probably changes, but what's going on right now for Jimmy Rex?
Yeah, I mean, so one of the things about me is I think that, you know, I like to keep a couple different things going on at one time. I'm actually just started reading Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. I'm reading a book called The Big Leap. I'm reading a book, Ben Shapiro's new book, I think it's called How to Destroy America in Easy Steps or something. I don't know. I always have 4 or 5 different topics going. I just finished, you know, the 5 a.m. Club with Robin Sharma. I had him on my podcast.
I'm a 5 a.m. club guy now too, after Robert Sharma. I mean, that was just mind opening and blowing.
Yeah, that was a fun one for me. I got to have him on my podcast. He actually reached out to me, and that was like,
what?
Yeah, that's when I knew I'd kind of arrived a little bit in life. When Robin Sharma reached out to see
yeah, you just moved up a level with me too. That's pretty legit.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. He's an amazing man. But anyway, so long story short, yeah, I mean, I think that there's, you know, what I do is I literally put books all over my house. I have giant bookshelves, but then I just kind of always have books laying around. My friends always laugh. They're like, dude, what book are you even reading? I'm like, depends on the day. But I think ultimately we have this funnel and we get to decide what goes inside of it. And so, you know, most people, unfortunately, they're going to take the path of least resistance a lot of times, but I'm really intentional about what I put in the funnel, which is what I read, the audios that I'm listening to. Like, I'm actually spent the last few days, I've been listening to this Tony Robbins CD set, and I'm literally sitting there pausing it. I've got this old DVD player because it's the only thing that'll play these damn CD-ROMs that I have. And I pause it and I'm taking notes. I'm like 8 pages of notes in on 3 CDs so far. And so I'm just always trying to learn, trying to study, trying to learn something.
Dude, I love that. You mentioned Robin Sharma, which I'm just totally in awe now, but can you talk about some of the guests you've had on your podcast? And I was looking at just a couple of your podcasts and some of the names are like, really? You've had some just ballers and some really well-known people on that.
Yeah, I've had some amazing people, you know, Robin Sharma, Grant Cardone, Prince EA, Brad Lee, Ryan Stewman, you know, Tim Ballard, founder of Operation Underground Railroad. I've had a bunch of, you know, influencers, professional athletes, a lot of just amazing people. You know, I wanted to start that podcast to inspire people, and I have the opportunity to be around a lot of amazing people. I'm very good at networking. I've been able to get myself around these people. But what I realized is a lot of people that I love and care about were not able to get around these people. And so what I did is I set out with that podcast to provide a way for the people that I get to be around, for the people that I love and care about, for them to be able to experience and learn from these other people as well. And so I've always done it with the mindset of just trying to give back. And I think that's why it's grown so well. You know, I've monetized it a tiny bit, but I've never really even tried to. For me, it's always been kind of this labor of love where I'm able to, you know, like when the whole thing with Black Lives Matter happened, for example, I was able to have a guy on there whose son was killed by a white supremacist up in Oregon. And instead of choosing hate, he chose to open an organization to spread love. You know, and I had the leader of Utah for Black Lives Matter on. And then I had, I've had Purple Heart winners, you know, a guy that got blown up in Iraq and lost his vision. And he's the first ever special forces to serve on active military blind. A guy by the name of Ivan Castro, just these different heroes and people that it's really fun for me to be able to share their stories and to share with my audience these different guests. And it's a really cool way for me to reach out to other people and get some FaceTime with them as well. People that I otherwise wouldn't have any good excuse to reach out.
Absolutely. And I find my interviews, just like this one with you, and I appreciate you being here today, allows me to connect and learn about that person so much more than otherwise in the world. You know, the podcast is really kind of an intimate way to really get into the minds of them and their greatness and showcase some of their successes and greatnesses. But I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but did you interview a certain athlete yet that we talked about?
Not yet. I've got an
I won't mention it then.
But yeah, it's to come
still. Just follow Jimmy's podcast and watch this one coming up. When he told me the name, I was like, another wow.
Yeah.
That's very, very cool. I knew that I would have a page of notes for myself in doing this podcast. So I'm looking down constantly writing, and I apologize for that, but I'll go back and listen to it and take good notes. But when I'm around guys like you and the mindset, it's just, I feel like I'm a sponge, and it's just a nugget after nugget after nugget after nugget. So, you know, let's talk about this for a minute. You're one of the leading real estate brokers in Utah, maybe even in the nation. You're in the top. And what do you see as a common mistake that agents make, either emerging into the business or even, you know, in a growth trajectory or trying to, you know, duplicate their business? What do you see as a common mistake?
Yeah, I mean, the most common mistake I see is that people don't track very well the people they know and the people they do deals with. Like, I've done it okay, I guess I would say, but like, if you can truly stay in touch with every person that you meet, and then every person especially that you do a deal with, it doesn't take long until you've been in this business a couple of years. You have a huge database of people to reach out to. And I think most agents don't treat their database with enough care. Like, I am very diligent. I have 250 people in what I call my elite group. And I contact every single one of them at least once a month, every person in my elite group. I have my A group. I contact them at least once a quarter. And if I do nothing else but do those things, my real estate business keeps growing. I think that's what I've done really well, is just stayed in touch with those two groups of people. And that's about 750 people total. But that's the main thing. I think that's the number one thing that agents need to really focus on is getting that SOI, getting that group, and then really working that group of people.
I love that. Tom Ferry, you know, all the leaders in the industry all talk about SOI and really taking care of your database, but that data mining, or, you know, really managing your database is really the lifeblood of top agents.
Yeah.
And, you know, one thing that I noticed that's kind of a pet peeve for me is when I call top agents, I mean, like you, the Tom Daves, the top guys in RE/MAX and every other brand, they always pick up the phone, or they're always very responsive to a message or a phone call. And I call these broke ass agents with one transaction or doing 4 deals a year, and they don't get back to you for a week. And as a coach, it makes the hair on my neck stand up, right? But it's a trait, it's a characteristic that you see in these top agents throughout the nation. And for me, it always blows my mind when you see the people that are wanting to be successful. They've got the cars, they've done the things, but they're not doing the fundamentals, which is the growth and the belief and the mindset, and just following through on that business piece, following up with people every month, following up with people every quarter like you do. And I think that's probably such a big takeaway for a lot of people that may watch this. And
yeah, when I got into the business, you know, I was watching the top agents. I said, what do they do different than everybody else? And the one thing they did different is they answer their phone. They're always available. There was a guy I remember to this day, a guy by the name of Charles Wixom, and another one named Josh Stern in my area. And I was like, how can I even get a hold of these guys? I know how busy they are, but every time I called them, they would answer. And I said to that myself, you know, I said, I want to make sure that I'm doing that as well. Like, and I'm, you know, it's changed for me now. My team works a lot of the clients and things like that. But the point is like, our job is to stay in touch with people. Like, when people come shadow me all the time, they want to come shadow me and see what special thing I'm doing. And they always leave saying the same thing. They're like, dude, you just get on the phone and don't get off. Like, you're just on the phone all day long. I'm like, well, yeah, that's my job. I'm just talking to people all day. And then that becomes, you know, my way of prospecting and building a clientele. So it's funny that you say that, but that is one of the most important things. I think if I work with a loan officer, if he doesn't get back to me quickly, he's done. Like, I need somebody that at least, you know, I know how much business I'm sending you. If you're not getting back to me quick, I know you're not going to get back to my clients quick. And the same thing as an agent. So I think that is a very valuable trait to tell.
So true. So true. So what time do you get up every day?
I don't have like a set time. Depends on what time I go to bed. you know, because sometimes I'm a night owl. Sometimes I go to bed early. I try not to set an alarm if I go to bed before about 11. I won't even set an alarm. I'll just get up when I get up. It's usually around 7.
I hear so many extraordinary leaders and successful entrepreneurs that say that same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm a contractor. I'm like in a set time frame for 20 years. It's 5 a.m.
I like the summer because if I open my blinds when I go to bed, I'll wake up with the sun. And so I kind of do that on purpose. But, you know, other times, like sometimes I'll be up till 12, 1, 2 in the morning, hanging out with friends, doing stuff, out on a date, whatever it might be. And so if I do that, then, you know, I give myself grace. I'll get up at 7:30 or 8 sometimes.
I like that.
Yeah, I don't have this crazy, I love Robin Sharma, but I'm not the 5 a.m. club currently in my life.
Yeah, I have not got up after 7 days a week since I read his book and really dug into that. But I see the value in that too, because at 8:15 at night, I'm like, I'm dying, right?
Yeah, and I have certain things I have to do every day. Like I keep a journal every day. I work out every single day. I try to go for a 45-minute walk where I put my phone down every day. I eat a certain way every day, but I'm not like crazy. Like I don't, you know, I try to meditate every day. I try to pray every day. I try to, you know, read at least 15 minutes every day. But I give myself a lot of grace. Like I'm very self-disciplined. And so I know if I've had a good day, if I've done a lot of the things I need to do, right? Like I know I've had a bad day if I haven't done any of them. Like that's a bad day. It's very rare, but more so than just like, this is my set routine.
Right.
I have things that I'm very good at, just like, I kind of go antsy if I'm kind of feel like I'm not doing something productive. And so for me, it's been, you know, that's why it's been so important to start putting my phone down and just going for a walk. Like that's 45 minutes. It's probably one of the most important things I can do in my day now, to get present and to just get in the right mindset and everything else. But I used to never do something like that. That would have been hell for me. Right. And so I'm really trying to build some of those habits that I already have, but just kind of keep going with those and just not letting myself have wasteful time.
I love it. I was going to ask you what your morning routine is. I don't need to now because you just explained it, but I love it how you go, I don't have a morning routine. I just make sure I work out every day. I eat perfectly. I walk every day. That is your routine, but you've formulated it into just a living style, right?
Yeah. I like to say, like, I don't like systems. I like ways of being. Like even in my real estate business, I don't have all these systems. I have a way of being. Like I'm a person that is social. I make calls all day long. I'm a person that follows up. That is the one thing I'm going to do no matter what. I'm the kind of person that you can trust because I know what the hell I'm doing. I've put the work in to be really good at this. I'm the kind of person that shows love. So all my clients feel that from me. Like I don't need a system to help me do it. It's a way of being. And people always like, what's your system? I'm like, I have a way of being. If you want to see how I am, come hang out for a week or something, or come hang out for a couple of days and you'll see it.
Wow. That's badass, sir. That right there is badass. I love that. That inspires me. It feels like, that's kind of how I am, but hearing you say it just takes it up another notch. I love that.
By the way, the one detriment to that, and I know this, is it's not that duplicatable. So I've never grown my team bigger. I have 3 agents right now. We keep it very small, very stealth. I like to refer to us as ninjas, but I never wanted to have 50 agents on my team and call it a team when really it's a brokerage. Like I've kept it very small because I have other people like myself are on my team. Like I don't micromanage any of them. The last thing I need to do is worry about if you're going to work every day. Like my team is working harder than I am. They care more about me than I do, So,
wow. Yeah, you just have a little tiny team doing 300 plus transactions a year.
Yeah, it's just 4 of us though. I mean, it really is a tiny team when you consider it. Some of the anytime I see the awards go, they're like team of the year, and it's like 42 agents get up. I'm like, shit, we actually outsold them.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say you have 800,000 agents around the country going, huh?
Well, Ben Kinney one time props him for what he's done, but he talked about the average agent on his team makes less than 40 grand a year or something. I was like, what the hell? Like, I don't like being around depressed people. Like everyone on my team is a rock star. They're all making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Like one of my agents is going to make $1 million this year. Like my team is like, I don't want to be around people that aren't succeeding. And so for me, I've just never wanted to have to set up this system for all these agents and plug them in and see which ones work. It's like, no, I'll find the best people to work with. Because if I ever hand off a client, I need to know they're going to get as good of an experience with that person as they got with me, or I'm not handing them off. I can't do it. It's not in me to do that. So I only look for the best of the best to work on my team.
I love that. And I don't want to get too personal about your team, but when we talked before, I remember you said you're giving one of your guys a bonus that was like 6 figures, and you take care of these guys and women. So I know what you're saying there, and that probably is a large part of your success is the way you lead and manage them. Um, let's shift gears again. I like jumping around a little bit. Talk about your adventures. You have been everywhere. I just a glance at your Facebook pages and stuff. It looks like you're a world leader. I mean, you're just literally in every country. You said you were in how many countries last year?
I went to 27 last year, so I've been to 69 countries, over 60 of them in the last 4 years. Yeah, no, I love to experience life on all levels. Traveling teaches me more than anything. I get to meet these people, and I get to get rid of my previous conceived notions around them and my fears and things like that. So yeah, I mean, in the last year, I've climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. I went and swam with great white sharks. I've ran with the bulls. I've done all these different things, but I just love to go experience life. And thankfully real estate, we all got into real estate to do that, but we forget when we get in, all of a sudden we get bogged down by everything. And I just made it a conscious decision. I said, this is how I want to live. These are the things I'm going to go do. That's what allowed me to go work with this group that goes undercover and does all those rescues and everything else, because I set myself up in a way, like when I was in my 20s, when I was building this business, don't misinterpret what I'm saying here. I went 8 years without a vacation over 3 days. Like, I didn't leave the country for 8 years. I didn't even know if I had a passport. I was building, and then I built it, and now I can run it the way I do. And, this morning I went golfing with a buddy. And as soon as I got done, I went to the office for an hour, and then I went and had a lunch with a buddy. And then I went and met up with a couple other people that I wanted to see. And we talked about, we're going to do like 20 of us buddies are going to have like an Olympics in October and like do all these events. And we were organizing that. Now I'm doing a podcast with a friend. And then, from here, I'm going to go show some houses real quick. And then I'm going to go camping with some friends for the weekend. I mean, that's like my average day now, but it's like, in that there's all these business deals going on and these things, but I didn't always do it this way, right? Like, my life was grinding phones. But there's a trajectory to life when when you're hard on yourself, life is easy on you. But when you're easy on yourself, life's hard on you. And so, yeah, I've been able to do all these things, but that's because I put in the work first. But yeah, I'm actually, so, you mentioned Nikola Motors a little bit. I'm a seed investor in that company. It's a $16 billion company now. And in December, I can cash a portion of my money out. And I'm going to actually next year, one of the big things, I'm going to set up 6 events. I'm going to set up a company around it where I'm going to send out 100 invites to just my most badass influencer friends, buddies, people I want to hang out with. And the first 15 that want to join, we're going to go, like, the first one we're going to do is we're going to go, you can, in Chile, you can bungee jump off a helicopter into a live volcano with lava and everything. So we're doing that first. Then maybe that'll be the last one too, but no. And then we're going to go like walk with polar bears up in Greenland. I got a buddy that does that. And we're going to go swim with the tiger sharks in the Bahamas. I did that once before. And I'm just going to do these amazing trips that create these incredible experiences, life-changing. And I'm going to do it with the people I want to be with, doing the experiences I want to do it with. And whoever wants to come with me is coming, but it'll be very like, loose or exclusive, but like at the same time, that's how I want to live. I only want to be doing now stuff that I want to be doing. I want to hang out with my friends. I want to go change the world. I want to be inspired. I want to be around people that I learn from every day. And so that's what we're working on.
Dude, I love you. I mean, I literally have a man crush on you. I hate to say that on public television here or whatever, but it is so powerful, so inspirational. And I know a lot of people just don't believe it can be done, but you put in the work, you got it done, and you're making it happen now. And you mentioned Nikola, and it's funny, you and I had a conversation a couple months ago, maybe even a little longer, and you said was it angel investor in that?
I'm one of the seed round investors. So
one of the seed round investors. So you wouldn't tell me the company, you couldn't at the time, I guess, or whatever, or we're not that good of friends, but you said, hey, I got some things in this company, it's going to be a big deal someday. And then later we caught up and we talked, and I'm like, dude, I just, I got some stocks and stuff. And then you go, hey, this one just went public, Nikola. And I'm like, that's it. That's what I just bought. And I literally saw it on TikTok, brother. I saw it on TikTok. This guy did this thing. And I'm like, electric, that sounds fun. Put some money in it. Not the kind of money I wish I would have, obviously, but it's been a ride and it's been fun. And I just congratulate you for that piece of it. I think they're going to be massively huge. And really fun to watch that particular space right now, what's going on with Tesla and, Nikola and some of the other companies and stuff right now. But yeah, no, it's really mind blowing. Well, listen, I really, really appreciate your time today. And I just maybe a couple questions before we kind of start wrapping up. But What's like the most exciting thing you have on the calendar coming up? It's hard to ask you that with all the stuff you just mentioned. By the way, did you say you ran with the bulls?
I did. Yeah, I did that in Pamplona. Yeah.
I just lost a lot of respect for you, my friend. Just lost a lot of respect for you right there.
Why is
What
that?
inspires you to run with the bulls, honestly?
Oh, why? Because you can. Are you crazy?
I love that answer. It's like, what are you talking about? It's because you can.
Yeah. To be honest, I watched City Slickers when I was a kid, and I always loved that they ran with the bulls. And I said, when I'm older, I'm going to go run with the bulls. And it was funny. I remember we got a group of like 14 buddies together, and we were like, hey, let's all go run with the bulls. And everybody's like, yeah, let's run with the bulls. And it's like, all right, let's do it. And when it came time to book it, only 4 of us actually did.
I was going to say, yeah, everybody's. Oh, you know what? I got to rearrange my sock drawer today, dude. I'd love to do it, but
I thought we were all serious about it, so I just was like, of course I'm in, you know.
Oh my God.
No, anything that makes you feel alive is worth doing.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So you would recommend it to somebody like me that's like, I don't care how much money.
Of course. Yeah, you have to.
I probably need to stay away from you. Jumping out of helicopters into volcanoes and running with bulls, you're going to get me hurt.
But see, that's the problem though, is people have these fears, right? But here's what's cool is like, as you start to do these things, you actually realize like, oh, they're actually a lot safer than they come off. Like I swam with tiger sharks in the middle of the Bahamas, the Atlantic Ocean with no cage or anything. These are 14-foot tiger sharks. They look like a mini bus. And everybody I showed my pictures to is like, you're insane. I can't believe you did that. But when I was in the water with those animals, I found a new love for sharks that I would have never experienced. They're the most majestic animal on earth. And they are so beautiful. They're so shy. And they just want to like, there's like a connection there. And I can't even explain it, but they didn't want to eat me. All they wanted to do was experience me and me them. And it was really cool. I'm actually just signed up to help. It's kind of a private, I can't really talk about it yet, but a documentary where I'm going to fund it to help save sharks. It's one of my goals in my life is to save the sharks from being killed off.
Wow.
Long story
that gave me goosebumps.
The point is like, you have to put yourself out there to even know that sharks are being killed by the hundreds of millions every year.
Oh.
Crazy stuff going on, but you wouldn't even know that unless you're willing to put yourself out there and go swim with them and have that experience where now I have this deep ingrained love for them.
Wow, that's very interesting because, you know, the way you were just describing to me of how you experience those things, and then you have a new frame of mind around that particular item, and you do that so many times, it just starts broadening your horizons, because I would have never thought of it that way.
Yeah, you can do the same thing with if you're afraid of Muslims or if you're afraid of black people. Like it's the same thing. You go experience them and you're like, oh my gosh, like if you've never sat down and at a table with 4 or 5 black women and just experienced how much life they have and how much fun they have, like that culture, like there's so much, you know, go to the South and experience that. Like go and order food from a big old black waitress lady, and they are so damn hilarious and fun, and like you're like, wow, there's a beauty to this whole thing. This is so beautiful. Like you don't need to be afraid of these people. I remember I was growing up, I was very afraid of Muslim people. I live in Utah. I hadn't seen a Muslim in 20 years, and I ended up becoming friends with this man who was born in Palestine, grew up in Egypt, and he became one of my best friends, my buddy Haysam. And he invited me to go to Egypt with him and to experience it with his family. And my whole life, I've been afraid of Muslim people. I've been afraid of this like culture and everything else, right? And I'm sitting there, we're having this feast. They basically broke out everything for us for 2 days straight with this food. And it was the most beautiful meal I've ever had. And his mom comes up to me and she's bawling. And you know, I'll get emotional even talking about it. But she says, I've been so worried about my son. I haven't seen him in 14 years. I know he's over in the States. And to see that he has a friend like you, that I felt so warm. I'm so grateful. And it was just like this huge bonding moment, you know, and all of a sudden you're like, I don't need to be afraid of these people. Like we're all different, but we're so beautiful in our own way. And so I don't know. So like when I talk about traveling and experiencing life and doing all these things, it's not because I'm just trying to distract myself or because I'm some kind of weirdo. I get so much value out of it. I get so much love when I go and experience life this way. And so for me, that's why like when I hear somebody be like, oh, you're crazy, I'm not doing that. I'm like, no. That feeling of that's why you need to go do this. Like I didn't just let you pass that off as a kind of a brush off.
Wow. Yeah, I think this interview is going to change a lot of perspectives, and it certainly has mine, because you're right. I think of those things not as exciting or entertaining, but the resistance you have is a natural fear that we have from growing up or preconceived understandings or notions or whatever. And by immersing yourself in it, you're forced to understand it. You're forced to, you know, look at it from a different perspective.
Yeah, there's a quote in my book. I want to just give this quote because it's kind of what you said. It's embrace uncertainty as delight instead of danger. That is the
Embrace
secret to life.
uncertainty as the light.
Embrace
Instead
uncertainty as delight instead of danger. That is literally the secret to life.
I like that. I like that. I think I might use that as the title for this podcast. Man, it's been so amazing. So, something that I talked about in your opening, but the undercover rescue of kids that are sex trafficked, and that is such a powerful place. I personally have, and I don't know if I've told you this or not, but I have a passion to do things for the industry for suicide. And I lost my brother to suicide. I've lost my ex-wife to suicide, my best friend to suicide. Wow. And a lot of the reasons I got into coaching was to make sure that I stayed in a positive frame of mind, because I saw what was available in my circle. And so I'm passionate about that. Tell me how you got into that particular piece, and what it must feel like to go rescue kids that are in danger, specifically one of the most fragile people on our planet. What's that like?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I first heard about it about five and a half years ago. This company, this organization, this nonprofit called Operation Underground Railroad. I went to this networking meeting. There was about 300 people there, and I'd been going to this same networking meeting for about 6 months. There was one guy who was always just different than everyone else, and I always said, like, who is that man? I need to get to know that guy. It was a guy by the name of Paul Hutchinson. And that particular day, he got up and he spoke about this op he'd gone on as the undercover real estate. He runs a $16 billion real estate fund. He's one of the partners in it, one of the ones that founded it. And the guy's just amazing human. He's one of my best friends in the world now. And I had no idea who he was. I just knew his energy was different. He was different. He carried himself differently. And I got to hear him speak about this operation where they rescued over 70 kids in Colombia, and this amazing experience. I just went up to him afterwards, and it was like, and I talk about this in the book as well, is like, we get nudged sometimes by life, and it's like, do this thing, or like, this is yours, like, now go. And usually we'll block it, or we'll say, no, we'll make up a reason why that doesn't need to be. And I said, no, this is going to be a part of my life. And long story short, I just begged, bartered, and stole my way into anything I could do to be a part of this group. I just was, just providing massive value any way I could. And they finally let me go and experience one. And, I got hooked. I was able to go again and do this almost a dozen times now, and help rescue over 100 kids. And yeah, I mean, you go through all the emotions, it's awful. It's amazing. It's scary as hell. It's the most rewarding thing you've ever done, and everything in between. I'll tell a quick story. I'm actually getting a tattoo on Sunday right here on my inner forearm. It's gonna be my first tattoo. I never thought I'd get a tattoo, but it's gonna say, "We are the they." And what that happened is, after I'd been going on, to give you an idea kind of what this means to us, but I'd been on probably 6 or 7 ops a few years ago. And this woman I was dating, she said, "Hey, I want to talk to you. Like, I don't want you to go do these ops anymore. And they're super dangerous." And I was like, "Well, it's like my life calling. Like, this is the most rewarding thing I've ever done." She goes, "I know, but it's super dangerous. It's a bad environment. Like, something could happen." And she said, "Why can't they just go do it?" And I just responded, just came out of my mouth. I said, "We are the they." And I was like, holy crap, it sent like shivers down my spine.
Wow,
Like,
that gave me goosebumps too.
And I just said to myself, I said, that's it. For the rest of my life, if I hear of something wrong, if there's an injustice, if there's something that I think needs to be fixed, there is no they. Like, we are the they. We're going to go fix that thing. And so for us, it just became this thing like, yeah, ideally it'd be great if everybody was able to do this and help and make it, but like, we actually can, and we do. And I kind of try to do that with all aspects of my life. Like I said, like, I take the initiative. So like the guy that I had on my podcast, whose son was killed by a white supremacist, like, just as an example, like, I was able to form a beautiful friendship with that guy because he was my Uber driver actually up in Portland last year. I went to go visit my friend who was dying of cancer, and I knew it was going to be the last time I saw my friend. And I get in this Uber to go to the hospital, and this driver is this big old black guy, 350 pounder. And he's just the happiest guy I've ever seen and the best energy I've ever felt. And I'm just like, man, like, this guy like really showing up for me today. And I got talking with him, and I find out that a few years previous, his oldest son, had been killed by a white supremacist. And I'm just going through this. I'm just like, my gosh, like, this guy, and we started talking about my podcast is how it came up. I had a guy by the name of Nate Boyer was on my podcast. He's the Green Beret that stood with Colin Kaepernick when he originally took the knee. And this guy was like, Nate Boyer? He climbed Mount Kilimanjaro with us, and he's like, I can't believe it. And this guy just thought it was the greatest thing in the world. That's how we got talking about it. But I find out this dude had set up this organization, again, like, in spite of all this hatred and all this, to spread love and to help change the laws in favor. And so I got to experienced this man and an Uber driver, and I got out and he's like, "Can I get your photo?" Like, I'm like, he wants my photo? Like, this
I
guy
want your photo,
bro, you know? And I end up, his name's Larnell. He's the most beautiful man. And I said, "Hey, let me add you on Facebook." And we start chatting. And I find out on our drive, I found out he was a diehard Seahawks fan and his wife's a diehard Niners fan. Well, one of my close friends is Fred Warner, the middle linebacker for the 49ers. So I called him up. They were playing a few weeks later, about a month and a half later, they were playing in San Francisco. I said, "Bro, here's what's going on. Here's this man. Any chance I can get some field passes for him and his wife?" And come, he's like, "It's done, dude." So me and my girlfriend at the time go up there, and I paid for this guy and his wife to fly and meet us in San Francisco. We spent the whole weekend going to the game, field passes, literally just expressing, like, understanding this human, like trying to get inside of his life. Like, what is it like to have this horrible act done against you? What does it, white supremacy, like look like for you? How does, I just leaned into this whole thing and set up this beautiful friendship. And to this day, I talk to him all the time. And, you know, so when everything's been going down the last few months, I'm like, I can actually get this guy on my, I can share what I've experienced. I can get this guy on my podcast. Like, and that was just getting myself out of this comfort zone. It would have been real easy to throw some headphones in the Uber. It would have been real easy to just ignore the conversation. It would have been real easy to just leave it at that, even if it was a great conversation. But it's like, no, we can do a little more here. We can actually cross these bridges. We can bring people together to understand each other. And so that's what I just encourage people, especially right now with the media and all the craziness going on. It's like, whether you're fighting for this side or this side, you think you're correct. Like 99% of the people I know, honest to God, think they're doing this with good intent. Like they are. So instead of just assuming all these things about the other people, the other side, like lean into it, like go have conversations. And that's what we need, is like less people dividing and more people actually sitting down and having conversations and spending a weekend with somebody that, you know, they don't understand. Like I've never been able to put myself in that person's shoes, but I think I got a pretty good idea what that looks like now. And so I don't know, that's the message I'm trying to tell people, is like, turn off the news and go hug somebody, go have a conversation with somebody.
No, dude. Love will win if we let it, you know, and stay in curiosity is what comes up for me in that statement. Stay in curiosity, because curiosity is going to take you out of judgment and get you into understanding.
Yeah.
Bro, I don't even know where to go from here. I'm going to wrap up the show here and just say it's been really one of my favorite and best shows. You are a true gentleman and just a powerful individual. I know I'm changed from this few minutes that we've spent together. I mean that deeply. And, you know, I think you're going to inspire a lot of people that may watch this podcast or listen to it and just really understand the value and beauty of life if we let it happen. You know, tell me the quote out of the book again.
Yeah. So here, I don't want to misquote it. So it is, embrace uncertainty as delight instead of danger.
Embrace uncertainty.
Tony Robbins has a similar quote where he says, the more uncertainty you can deal with in your life, the more excitement your life is going to have, the more vibrant your life will be. The more uncertainty you're willing to embrace, the more you will have the flavor of life. So it's just that uncertainty, like we don't know what's going on. It's like, that's okay. Like lean into it, you know?
Right, lean into it. Jimmy Rex, I can't say enough for thank you for being here. I know you're a powerful individual. It's been an amazing time together. And I just thank you for all you do. And again, if people want to find you, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, the easiest way to reach me is my Instagram is Mr. Jimmy Rex. That's Mr. Jimmy Rex. And thank you, Randy. You know, you helped me the other day get Glenn Sanford on my podcast. Just an amazing person and founder of EXP. And that was a huge, amazing interview for me, and excited to learn more about all that with you guys. But just thank you for doing that. And yeah, of course, this was my pleasure to be on. So thank you.
Dude, you're the best. I appreciate you. Have a great day. And just, Jimmy, thank you for being you. I mean, I think people are going to watch this show and really just recalibrate what's possible, recalibrate how to really live life at its fullest. And that's definitely my mission in life. So thank you for being here, Jimmy.
All right, Randy. Have a great
day, my friend. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon. Bye now.